Hi there, this is John Arnold. I'm an independent technology analyst and I follow the communications technology space quite closely. I've been doing this for a very long time. And the worlds of voice and customer service and telephony are never far apart from each other. And the complexities of communications in today's business world and in the customer service world require pretty high standards now with today's digital and cloud-based technologies. So this poses a lot of problems, but of course there are opportunities for innovative companies. And I'm going to be speaking here in conversation today with Satish Barot, who is the CTO and co-founder of Ireland-based, I believe it's Dublin, based Klearcom. So
Yeah.
we are going to be in
We
conversation
are
here.
based in Waterford, John. Thank you.
Waterford. Okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. And here we are. So we are in conversation today about some of these issues from the call testing perspective. So welcome, Barot. We're going to be here in, that's an edit, sorry. Welcome, Satish. And we're going to be in conversation now about some of the trends around communications tech as it pertains primarily to call testing. So we're going to be in conversation now for the next little bit, folks, and I really think you'll find this time well spent. So maybe have a quick introduction, Satish.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm Satish Barot, CTO and co-founder at Klearcom. I have over 20 years of experience building scalable, secure telephony products. I love coding. I'm interested in cloud services, database design, Python, telephony applications. And I lead the technological vision here at Klearcom. I talk to the customers. I try to understand their pain points and see how we can help them eliminate those challenges from their side. And I would say, here at Klearcom, we help multinational companies monitor and test their telephony numbers, their IVR systems, so that when you dial their customer service number, your call connects. When you are greeted with those menus, those pre-recorded messages asking you to press for this, press two for something else, and when you press one or two, that works. When you want to talk to an agent, you get an agent on your call within stipulated time. When you are talking to the agent, the quality is good. So that's what we do here at Klearcom.
Right. And, those are I think, pretty core building blocks of any contact center, of any brand that has to be really thinking about their customer service quality. And I think it also, Satish, it reflects the fact that, most businesses now are global.
Right.
And you have to have 24/7 capabilities. And when you boil it down to what has to happen on the telephony side of things for that to work, it's like a lot of things. It's harder to do than it looks, right?
Correct. Yeah. Just imagine, having your telephony numbers in 100 plus countries. You don't have a visibility. You need someone in that country to taste your numbers, to taste your IVR systems, and let you know if there is any issue or not. So you need a tool, a platform like Klearcom that can automate this process. Instead of you tasting your own numbers or you getting someone else in that country to taste your numbers, you can rely on Klearcom to automatically taste your numbers to make sure the numbers are connecting, taste your IVR system so that when someone presses those digits on their keypad, they are being redirected to the right department, right menu, or to the right queue. And, if there are any issues, we alert them in the real time as well. So you can fix them pretty quickly.
So, I just want to kind of back this up a little bit for people who may not know a bit of the kind of the ecosystem here for supporting TFNs, toll-free numbers with IVR self-service options. So when a brand is going to, either launch a new campaign or wants to kind of improve the quality of its customer service, they typically have to contract with a service provider, correct?
Correct.
Who has the numbers and can route the calls. And I'm just trying to kind of peel back the onion a little bit to say, okay, where does Klearcom fit into this? And like you described before, there are a lot of challenges there. So let's go to the kind of a core question that people may not think about very much, because I think we take it for granted. When we
Right.
call a toll-free number, oh, it's just going to work. How hard can it be? So shouldn't this be addressed in full by the carrier? Then we wouldn't even have to be talking about this. So let's talk a bit about the realities of why that's not the case.
Right. Yeah. So, there are uh, a few reasons why you cannot rely on your own carrier to make sure your numbers are working and your telephony systems are working. The very first thing is they only control your numbers, your carriers. They don't know about your IVR systems. So that's very first thing. The second thing is interconnections within that country. So let's say you have bought your numbers from carrier A, but what about other carriers in that country? Are your customers using those other carriers able to dial your number and connect with your system? So this is the reason you need someone, a third party, who can taste your numbers, your IVR systems from outside and not within your network.
Yeah. There's we take it for granted, I think, that in the world of, legacy telephony, that everything just works.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're not just talking about person-to-person phone calls, but really it's person-to-machine for automated self-service where there is no person at the other end, so they can't validate that it's working. So the carrier has to trust that the IVR is going to work. Otherwise, they're going to have the customer will have a bad experience, right?
You're right. And as you said, there are some legacy tools available in the market, but they were built, developed for a different era. You know, there are certain limitations, and you won't be able to use those legacy tools with your current infrastructure, modern infrastructure. For example, they would simulate all your calls through a centralized server or through a cloud. They might use virtual carriers and not the real carriers. So you are not replicating in-country experience for your callers. The other issues are like they might just taste the connectivity. Your numbers are connecting, but there are so many other things after number connects. Okay. You may not receive a message from the other end after your number connects. So there is a silence, nothing else. If there is an audio from the other side and the audio, those pre-recorded menus ask you to press one, let's say press one for new booking, okay? And you are pressing one, but the other system, they are not recognizing your input. Okay, and they ask you again, sorry, we did not receive any input. Press one for new booking. So this sort of issues, the legacy tools, they are not able to pick up and alert you. There are some other issues as well. They won't be able to grade the audio quality, which we can do. The legacy tools, they won't be able to generate multiple calls to load test your system. Klearcom can do that. And one last but very important point, they won't have 24/7 support team. So whenever something goes wrong, Klearcom can alert you in real time, but with those legacy tools, probably you will have to wait for a next day, your office hours to receive an email or someone reaching out to you and informing you about your issues.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose Satish, if even if it's a minuscule percentage of your calls that have a problem,
Right.
when you're processing tens of thousands of calls or millions of calls for a global brand, that's still a lot of calls, right?
Correct. Correct. And see, your number, that's not just a contact point. It is a part of your brand, your customer experience. If you have any issues with your customer experience, that may result in a revenue loss. People these days, they don't care. If they don't get proper service, they will switch to your competitors. And this is the reason you have to make sure your telephony numbers are connecting, your IVR systems are working properly.
Yeah, yeah. So, the further into the weeds you go with this, as you say, when you talk about writing code, you're really starting to talk about the mechanics of the PSTN and how the whole legacy analog telephony system actually works. And for anybody who's listening who is under 30, they may be scratching their heads. What are you talking about? I just use text, SMS, RCS for everything. I don't even make a call anymore. Well, there is truth to that, and that is probably the growing trend. And I know you're smiling because, well, guess what, folks? Maybe the big aha is the majority of calls running over toll-free numbers and into contact centers are legacy telephony calls, aren't they?
Correct. Yes, you are absolutely right, John. Like even though the new generation, they are using text, but still the telephony systems are there. If people want to connect with you, they would prefer to talk to someone within the country. And this is the reason there are still, people calling the customer service numbers and talking to the agents. And
Yeah.
you need a tool like Klearcom to verify your numbers are working fine without any issues.
Yeah, and like you say, Satish, it comes back to the brand and the value that being part of the identity of the brand, especially if you have for decades gone with a toll-free number that, spells out a word or a phrase that describes your business. There has a lot of value from a marketing and branding point of view. So there's a lot invested in that toll-free number kind of hierarchy, and it's not going away anytime soon. So,
True, true, yeah,
we'll be having the same conversation 5, 6, 7 years from now. The PSTN is yes, it is kind of slowly sunsetting, but it's the reality for most brands right now, right?
yeah.
Still.
People have been talking about voice channels being obsolete in the past as well, but it is still there. And I don't see that going away in the next like 10 years or so.
Right. And also, I don't see carriers stepping up to say, we're going to fix this problem because they have so many higher priorities to deal with. And the companies like Klearcom, this is your business. You've solved
Correct.
this problem and you're kind of restoring trust to the TFNs. And again, keeping telephony a trusted channel for, there's other issues around, of course, robocalling and stuff like that. But this is about call testing those toll-free numbers where it's inbound traffic primarily, right?
Right.
And that's the majority of where those calls are coming from and how they're being made.
Correct. Yes.
So let's talk
And
a bit
this
about,
is the
yes.
reason, like we decided to uh, co-found Klearcom. We saw a real gap in the telephony market, in the IVR market, where those issues were not being addressed properly. Uh, we saw many people talking about, the numbers not connecting, or when numbers are connecting, they were not able to talk to the agent properly, or they were frustrated because they had to be in the queue for hours before they can speak with an agent. So we thought there has to be a way. And we talk to many stakeholders just to make sure, if we are building a solution to eliminate those issues, the solution is perfect. And many other people we spoke with, they were also facing those issues. So we thought, okay, this is the best time to build a solution around this problem, and we started Klearcom.
So, the company's been around for a little while, quite a while. And again, because this problem's been persisting for a long time and it's not going away. So maybe talk a little bit, Satish, about kind of some of the key evolution points in your platform. And I want to hold off on AI. We're going to bring that into the conversation in a couple of minutes. But really, you've been doing this before AI became a thing. So maybe just talk a bit about up to the point where AI enters the scene. What are the kind of the main evolution points of your platform that are addressing this problem set?
Yeah, great question, John. So we try to solve customers' problems. So we talk to our customers a lot. When we started Klearcom, as I said, we saw that real gap where no one was able to taste your telephony numbers and IVR systems from within the country. So we developed a solution that can help multinational companies test their IVR systems, check their numbers are working fine, and if there are any issues, then our platform would alert them. That was the very basic solution, I would say, we started with. Then they said, okay, the keypad entries are working fine. What about speech? So let's say the IVR says for new booking, please say new booking. So we added that functionality on top of what we already had. Then our customers started asking about coverage. We started with 25 countries, but they wanted to, they had numbers in like 50, 60, 100 plus countries. So they wanted us to taste those numbers from those countries. So we added, like more and more countries, more coverage with Klearcom platform. The next step was like verifying your number is working, your IVR systems are working fine, but that was a manual thing. So you identify this is your welcome message. Then there are 5 options on that welcome message. Now taste for option 1, for option 2, for option 3, and let's say for option 9. Again, this is a manual process. So we automated this process. Instead of our customers tasting those options manually, we added a feature. We call it auto discovery, where they just put a number and our system will go through all the options available on that number and present them in a proper tree view. Now you can export that tree view in a PDF format, in a image format, in an HTML format, and share with your other business stakeholders. And again, now they started saying, I have like tens of thousands of calls being tested through the Klearcom portal. But I want to identify some trends, some patterns within that data set. So we introduced Klearcom AI, where they don't need to do anything. They just pass the data set, and our Klearcom AI system will identify the trends, patterns, summarize those issues, and present that to the customers. After that, we kept adding some other features. For example, we started testing for the latency as well. So when we dial your number, how long it takes to receive a audio from your side. So that was one other feature we added. Then there was SMS testing, inbound and outbound SMS testing. And now we plan to add, some other cool features for testing generative AI-based chatbot systems, generative AI-based IVR systems. We plan to test WhatsApp. We plan to test rich communication systems, RCS. We plan to test WebRTC. So there are like many other areas uh, where we plan to help our customers.
Yeah, well, you brought in the AI piece, and I think that's pretty important because that's what's happening right this minute. So, how do you see AI is it changing the game here, or is it just enhancing the capabilities of IVR for what they're already doing?
It is doing both. It is enhancing the capabilities and changing the game as well. But I don't see AI taking over the traditional IVR systems or traditional telephony systems in a couple of weeks' time overnight. That's gonna take some time. So the traditional IVR system, I think they are being replaced by conversational AI systems. After that, they will introduce generative AI-based IVR systems, but not again, as I said, overnight. They would run the traditional IVR systems and Gen AI-based IVR systems side by side, see the issues, you know, uh, they will receive a feedback from their customers and try to uh, use that feedback in a constructive way to add more and more features using generative AI. And just keep in mind, like generative AI, it's still a new thing in the market. So you cannot solve your problem like with 100% accuracy. There are certain limitations when you want to use generative AI within your IVR system. Okay. Uh, there is a cost involved as well. This is not like, you just spend a couple of dollars, euros, and you have your traditional system converted into generative AI based system. You will have to spend money on your infrastructure, on your IVR systems. You have to uh, train your systems. You will have to use proper LLMs to use, to replace your traditional IVR systems with generative AI based IVR systems.
And my in my view as an analyst, kind of looking at the bigger picture, clearly for the brands in particular, the stakes just keep getting higher here because the volume of calling will only get higher, right? I mean,
Right.
this started with the pandemic when people were stuck at home and there were more panic calls. What hours are you open? How do I buy your products? And the call volumes will just keep getting higher. And of course, as you add digital channels to the mix, there's more avenues for customers to reach out. And that just puts more and more pressure on IVR and self-service infrastructure to support that. And you mentioned earlier, Satish, about the 24/7. This is a constant operation. There's going to be calls coming at all times a day. And you mentioned international. Think about Gen AI in, 50 different languages and
Correct.
dialects. That's a
Correct.
lot to get right, isn't it?
True. True. And you need
So,
a system like, even with generative AI, when someone is making a call, when they are sitting in a train, when they are sitting in a restaurant, you have to make sure your generative AI based IVR system reacts properly, with different background noises, with male voice, with female voice, with low audio, with high speed, so you have to keep those points in mind as well when implementing
right.
generative AI-based IVR systems.
Yeah, because most calls are not coming from people, sitting at their kitchen table on a landline. They're often on a mobile phone outside. You say it's noisy, it's windy. There's all kinds of problems that have to be overcome to hear it and process it properly. So yeah, this all of this I think points to AI as being a very important enabling technology. So maybe let's push that along to where you are now with Verify Plus, right? This is
Right.
your latest generation. So please let's explain that idea here. You're trying to set a new standard, so to speak, for testing, right?
Right. Yeah. So Verify Plus is our latest product where we help our customers taste their pre-production environments. So, you don't release everything on production. You taste it locally in your pre-production or in your QA environment. So with Klearcom and Verify Plus, now you can taste your IVR systems before they go live. When they are in pre-production, you can use Klearcom platform to taste the numbers, taste the IVR systems are working fine, and then you push those changes in the live production. With Verify Plus, we allow them to taste their IVR systems in pre-production with 100 plus languages and dialects. We also allow our customers to create templates so that they can use templates for their different numbers, for their different IVR systems. Even we allow them to taste different pre-production environments simultaneously. So we don't limit them by number of channels or by number of ports. If you want to taste, let's say 10 different pre-production environments, you can do that with the Klearcom platform. Some other benefits are, for example, you are developing an IVR for, let's say, Canada, and you are sitting in the USA or in the UK. So you need someone in Canada, or basically you are developing a solution for Canada. So you need someone in the Canada to dial your number, praise those options, and then let you know that all your options are working fine. With Verify Plus, you can automate those steps. So you don't have to rely on a third party. Apart from that, we can taste your pre-production IVR systems from multiple carriers. So this is not like your IVR system is working fine with carrier A. We make sure your pre-production IVR systems are operating as intended from carrier A, carrier B, carrier C, or whatever number of carriers you have in that country. There is also an element of out of office messages. So, again, you are sitting in UK and you want to taste numbers in the Canada, but you want to taste out of office messages. So with Klearcom, you can schedule those tests for your pre-production testing. And if something goes wrong, you will be alerted in real time. So these are the benefits of Verify Plus, which we have developed for our customers.
So you've got this in the market now.
Got it.
So can you maybe speak to some examples of where you're deploying it and what kind of results your customers are getting?
Right. Yeah. So, there are many customers who are using this Verify Plus in their pre-production environment. I cannot name those customers for, because of NDA we have in place.
Sure.
But they are using so that, they don't have to go through each and every option manually. And we can run those tests for their pre-production IVR simultaneously. We can run the out of office hour messages, and they don't have to be available just to verify those messages. And again, the main benefit is automating those steps, which you are doing manually. Just think about yourself. You are creating an IVR. There is a welcome message. On welcome message, there are 9 options. Under those 9 options, again, there are 4 or 5 options under each node. So if you have to test this, that's going to take a lot of time. With Klearcom, you can do this within a few minutes.
Yeah, that's a big change, right? That's a big change. So
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. So it sounds pretty clear. No pun intended. But you are keeping on top of the market as it moves along. So Verify Plus is kind of your latest thing. So being CTO, no doubt you're thinking ahead a little bit, if not more. So what's next? What's on the roadmap that you can share?
So I mentioned this earlier as well. So we plan to test generative AI based IVR systems and chatbot systems. So we already have something in place which can help you test your Gen AI based IVR systems, but we want to add some more features, enhance whatever we have with Klearcom right now. So that's our main focus. The other areas, like we want to uh, taste WebRTC, we want to taste uh, WhatsApp, we want to taste, we want to sorry, will remove this, edit this. Uh, we want to integrate with different telephony platforms. We are developing virtual agents so that you don't have to put actual agents to receive calls from Klearcom. With virtual agents, there will be a system running in your environment, receiving those
Mm-hmm.
calls from Klearcom platform, answering those calls, performing some actions. If there are any issues with those calls, again alerting you in real time. So that's our roadmap.
Okay. All right. Well, would you consider yourself more of a leader or a follower here in terms of what's needed for this whole voice testing market?
Right. I would say, like we keep our ear open. We listen to our customers. We receive their feedback. So I am a mix of leader plus follower because we follow our customers, and when we understand their pain points, we develop a solution. And in that sense, we are a leader.
Okay. Well said. Okay, so that's going to kind of take us out here. So, kind of as a wrap up for this, Satish, what would for the listeners out there who might be at a telco in a technical role, or even brand leaders inside, businesses that are looking to say, we've got to make our voice, campaigns more effective, and we've got to make sure our customers have good experience. Just some takeaways, some, messages for them to think about in terms of this whole topic of voice testing.
Right. I would say the very first thing is make sure your infrastructure is fail safe. If something goes wrong, you have a backup plan. The second thing is you make sure you are able to receive concurrent calls. So let's say you buy 100 channels from your carrier, but you don't know unless until you receive those 100 calls in your system, you don't know whether you have the capacity to receive 100 calls or not. One more thing I would say is call quality. So again, customer experience is paramount these days. If your customers, when they talk to your IVR systems, when they talk to your agents, and they don't get proper quality on a call, they would complain and they would switch to your competitor. So make sure the call quality is good enough. Keep an eye on your calls. If you notice you receive, let's say, 100 calls most of the time, but you only have 50 agents. If you keep an eye on the call statistics, you would come to know about those issues pretty quickly, and you can, work on it. You can add more agents. If your customers are stuck on the IVR system, I would say you should have a plan to connect them with the agents. And I would say, like, you also need a third party to taste your numbers, taste your IVR system from outside in. And this is the area where Klearcom can help.
That's a good note to end on, Satish. And I would agree 100% with that last point. You know, from an analyst's perspective, my message to amplify that is don't trust your carrier to solve all of these problems because they won't and they can't. So again, this speaks to the importance of third-party best-of-breed platform to solve a very specific set of problems. And thank you, Satish. I think you've outlined that really nicely. So with that, I want to thank everyone out there for listening and watching with us today. And again, we'll just wrap up by saying thank you again, Satish
Thank you
Barot.
very much, John.
Okay, CTO and co-founder of Klearcom. And I'm Jon Arnold, independent tech analyst at J. Arnold and Associates. And again, thanks everybody for watching. Bye-bye.